The thing that it's totally, you know, up for you all to make a decision. What we need to do today is when I come back in June, well, let me back up. I'm sorry, sometimes I try to process it all too. So what you decide and give me today, then I'm going to go back to Bristol with the folks that do the input and ask them to run the system and add that project to the plan. And that's what we used to always do. I've tried to help Mr. Dingus out. This kind of his first rodeo of doing this. Usually I think in the past you kind of had this discussion with Frida at these meetings, that she would tell me what you all were wanting to put in there, and then we would go and get it added on. Then when I would come back for that plan and have it printed out, then that road would be on the plan. So today, what you decide is I'm going to go back, put that in there. Then June, we'll come in, we'll have advertised and get public comment on that. Okay, we have to have the plan passed in June. We actually, next year, we do try to need to move it back where we're doing this part in April and then there. So the other part that I would ask you to do too, to think about, you don't have to make this decision today, but I'm hoping that you can also come with a priority list then out of this. So if you choose one road today, whatever then your next road is that you have, so that next year when we come, then to make this process a little bit easier, then and I come in and hopefully say we've got another 400,000 or 600 or whatever it is, and you say, well, okay, road X was on our priority list as being the next, and you know, you certainly have discussion, but we just pull it up and put it right on the plan then the next year. That's kind of what we were doing before. The thing that happened was that we got to the point that we had revised in essence, changed the way that we did things, and we added about 8 roads one year when I was here before I've gone before, and we knocked a lot of them off that priority listing. So you know, now we're to the point that it's kind of been a year by year, but it would be helpful if we could get back to us a little priority list and to go forward.
And if we did have a priority list, you could go and look at the road count and let us know if it can be on that priority list or not.
Yeah, well, until we'd have this information, we would update the estimate if it's one of these, and then come in and you know, again, you're not obligated to choose that road, but it is just helpful. Also, I've seen that it's helpful to you as a board too, that talking with folks may not be on the plan, but you're the next priority that's on there. So, from our perspective, and I will just give you this, from the VDOT standpoint, is the, somebody shield me, Miss Peggy might throw rocks at me here. But one of the roads that we have that we spend maintenance on that is the Dean Hollow Road. It's a segment that's in between, and you know, if we got a cheering section, we got our jerseys on, then Miss Peggy's got Snowflake Phase 2 on hers today, but I'm kind of wearing the Dean Hollow jersey today because of what it costs us to have to go up there and just work that middle section that's in there. But again, that's just, I just throw that out for
Since you're on Dean Hollow, could you give a little background on it's previously funded, but we had some problems there with the landowners?
When these projects were done before, they were called before the rural rustic. The General Assembly came up with a program that they allowed us to do rural rustic, which were somewhat a paved in place, but us to make it, these roads paved with less work on them. We used to have to go in and get a full 40 feet of right-of-way on all roadways, and that would have to be donated by the property owners in order to be able for us to construct them. Now we're constructing them on the easement that we have that is within the 30 foot, and we do much less improvements. And sometimes if we've got a blind curve or something, we'll try to seek, you know, the ability to be able to go in and make some improvements to that so that, you know, we're not coming right around on a paved road in a blind spot. But overall, we kind of pave them in place for the most part. Do the drainage, try to ditch them and make improvements to that. As I understand it, it was not during my tenure that I was here, that this middle section, the other two sections were built under the old traditional unpaved road project program. And then this middle section, that there was a property owner that did not want to donate the right of way. And without that donated right of way in that time, it used to be that would stop the project right there. And we couldn't move forward with it. So then funds would have to be moved. So as I understand it, that was the situation that existed then. Somebody else might have a little more information about it than me, but that's, as I understand it, that's why that middle section wasn't built at the time.
So that's all in to say that that won't be a problem now.
We would not have to do that now at this time. And of course, then the next thing I guess that we would have as far as for us is snowflake, because we like to be able, once we get a road started, we like to be able to continue it. I've only mentioned Dean Hollow because we would like to be able to get that one section knocked out and out of the way.
Mr. Sutton, the Dean Hollow connects two paved roads and has that section that's unpaved.
It's unpaved.
Also, Timber Tree is that same type of situation.
Yes, that is, but from our standpoint, we spend more maintenance effort because there's a little hill that's up there on that, because that's a little more maintenance paid.
But in the snowflake situation, the phase 2 doesn't complete the road all the way to the acting frame pavement, right?
No,
it goes to the Hell Springs Road.
That's, I believe that's, yes, from Hell to Hell Springs. And currently, and you know, if you know me, you know I like to bring, you know, casual joke and things in there. Miss Peggy needs to get out and drive more on that last section because it's only got a traffic count of 20.
So if they did the
which end do I need to
so if they did phase 2 of Snowflake, thinking they could do phase 3 at a later date, right now the numbers wouldn't qualify phase 3.
Phase 3 does not qualify.
Right, so your traffic count would have to increase on phase 3 to finish Snowflake on to active frame.
Yes, it currently only has a traffic count on our last counts of 20.
Tell your neighbors to start driving on that road.
Well, they would be more right if it was drivable.
Kind of catch 22, I understand that.
I'll be on that end, I'll be on that end.
We'll donate you gas money, okay? We put a jar up here for each time for, yeah.
And I've got a question, is in this year 400, or see, the 25 million, okay, I've heard that we get some money from the casino. Is that in with that, or is that different?
I have no idea. This is just what is allocated through General Assembly and specific related to unpaved road improvement is the 25 million. Statewide.
Casinos, health, sheriff, and schools.
And transportation.
Yeah, we can use.
But I don't know where that goes. I mean, it's the only thing that I can mention to you. I mean, who knows? I mean, they may be bringing that in there. I don't know. All I know is that the Code of Virginia specifies that the department will allocate 25 million toward the unpaved road program.
Ms. Tyson, the casino money was extra money and we weren't operating in a deficit, and we could allocate that money extra to projects like the school system or the sheriff's and rescue and the transportation. We would, but we're not there yet.
It's also a 50-50 match.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
if you look at traffic counts, of course, the greatest traffic count on there, and y'all probably more familiar, is Dingus Hollow. Dingus Hollow has 180 vehicles per day as far as the #1 traffic count. Okay, so that's as much information, I guess, as I can give you right now. I'm sorry if I've talked too much about it or whatever. As I always say, I've been doing this a long time, so it's it just starts coming out, the information. So I'm just trying to give it to you so it'll be helpful to you in making your decision. But I can get a decision. Okay, so that we can move forward with you. So.
All right, discussion.
Well, I'm gonna push for Timber Branch. That's my district. I got a total of 14 complaints on that road. That's why I chose that road. In second was New Hurlin Church Road. So if we do a priority list, I'd like to put New Hurlin Church on that. But yes, I'm going to push for Timber Tree. It's 400,000, 50's the count, it's 0.55 miles. I'm pushing for it.
Dean Hollow Road, as Mr. Sumter said, they would like to get it completed. There was a problem there with the landowner before, or it would have already been finished. It's within budget. The count is 90 cars per day. Each end, I think, is around 150. So that's intersection. There is a problem, I think, with safety, including maybe the school bus travel. I also spoke with the fire chief with Nicholsville Fire and Rescue, and he said they would use that road. They use it often, but he would like to see it paved for safety for their vehicles. And it does go to the Big Moccasin community, which is, I guess, about halfway up Big Moccasin before this road would come out. So they could go on this road and go different directions. Want to go to Big Moccasin Road for fire and rescue.
I mean, if we're just looking at pure traffic counts, Dingus Hollow is the obvious winner, but we don't have enough money for it for this year. And you said that it's most likely going to be level funded, so we'd get the same 427 next year to allocate to that. Is there any appetite for putting basically a year and a half's worth of money on that road now instead of pushing it all further? Since it is the highest traffic count by almost double.
Typically, I would choose the road with the house count. That's kind of where I'm at. But given our budget and the fact that this short section on Dean Hollow is a safety issue, and we'll complete that project, plus their annual maintenance cost on it, I would choose Dean Hollow over Dingus Hollow. But typically, I would go with the one that had the most traffic.
Any other thoughts from this side? I've been talking about this side mostly, but any other thoughts from y'all?
Well, those ones, the roads I picked, or the road I picked, because I know it does have a lot of traffic considered. It's a dead-end road, a lot of houses, and whatever everybody else decides, but see that it is the highest traffic count, so let everybody make their own decisions.
I don't have any dogs in the race.
I don't either. I mean, if we chose Dingus Hollow, even though it exceeds that budget, what option do we have for next year?
Well, sorry again. Okay, so next year, again, what we would need to do is, that was where I was giving that explanation, is that if we put all of the 427 on a road that is above that money,
Yeah.
then next year, the money that is there off the top would go toward that. Okay, so like, we typically are getting like 900,000, I'll round it down, 900,000 or $1 million.
Right.
Okay, so what we've done this year is we've taken and applied that money to the other projects like Snowflake and all of them that are in there to get them, get the inflationary factors funded. So that left 427 over, okay, to add. So if we apply that through the board next year, based on what the inflation is, you would be able to add another project if there's any balance that's left over. So if you put 427 there, and then there's another 400,000, then you could put, there where this one's 600,000, you could put the first 200 for that.
Okay.
Then you would have 200 and some thousand left to go toward
The next.
adding the next project. And then you would have to then add to that one as you went out.
Alan, can you, not do a project and next year have $800,000 for a project? That might be a bigger project. Does it work that way?
No, you got to allocate the money that's there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting the money toward it. I
Right.
mean, it's what,
You can't build the money,
yeah, you, no,
but you can take away from the next year on this year.
yes, yeah.
Here's a question. Is there any benefit to doing the larger project? Do we lock in the pricing so we don't have as much of the inflationary factor, or?
No, that's just based on allocating the money based on today's money and, you know, a little bit of inflation, kind of what we can see.
Either way, so it's
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We would love to be able to go build all of them right now, but that's,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I mean, that's what Mrs. Tyson, you know, as far as we are concerned, like as example, using Snowflake again, we added that last year. It's there. It's just a matter of waiting until the time comes and, you know, getting it fully funded, it's there. The only thing that could affect it is, it'd be on there, but like I said, is that, okay, prices go way, way up. We've got an estimate on it of 500,000, and then it's gonna turn out to be 600,000. But again, that's why we try to keep them on schedule, but we move the money to start with off there. And the other thing that I will just mention, that this gets confusing even to me after all the years that I've been into it, is that VDOT operates on a fiscal year, July 1st to June 30th. So, as an example, when July comes around this year, on July 1st, as far as VDOT's concerned, we're in year 26. So our year 20, I don't know if you all do that with your county budget or not,
It is.
but
It is.
we're considered to be county, 26. So when we put a project on there and we say that it's going to be in fiscal year 29, whatever, if we've got things going on it and we've got there, it's possible we could start construction of that project in summer of 28, because that would actually be fiscal year 29 as example. I better stop or I'll get myself confused. Okay.
So on timber tree, it's 400,000, so would if it does cost 400,000 or less, would the amount go for next year, the 27,000? Would we put that for next year's?
Well, that's what I'm saying, based upon that being that far out and that little amount. If you had 600,000 that I said was what is available, I'd probably recommend putting 2 projects on there. But since we're that close, $20-some thousand, I'm just saying, we'll just fund whatever project you put that whole 427 toward it. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Right.
Thank you.
All right, how do we want to do this as far as, or I guess how's it been done in the past for ones like this?
Well, I could call out each road and have the members give a vote and see how they come out.
Show of hands.
Yeah.
Just a show of hands.
Right.
Now, are
So-
you asking us to vote for one?
We'll be voting for each of them, right?
Or
Or no?
just pick two. Why don't you pick 2 or 3 and vote on those? I mean, you know you're not gonna do
I would put Timber, Dean, and Dingus.
Dean and Timber Tree are around 400,000, yes.
So you want me to take a vote on Timber Tree, Dean, and Dingus?
Yeah.
So each member, one vote.
Yes.
So
Sure.
if you vote, you can't vote for all three.
Yeah.
Correct.
So give me a show of hands for Timber Tree Branch Road.
Oh, you are.
One.
Me.
Give me a show of hands for Dean Hollow Road. 4. And give me a show of hands for Dingus Hollow Road. 2.
Is everybody okay with doing?
Did this seem fair?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair as can be in this situation, but yeah, I do like Dean Hollow because it is a connected road, and I get it. And out of the ones that we can't afford this year, it's the one with the most traffic count. So I understand, or I feel like that's a fair trade-off. Maybe we can get some more money next year and get some of these bigger ones on there.
So in
Buying off a
providing,
bigger one.
sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, you're on that.
In providing your priority list for next year, we would have Timber Tree or Dingus Hollow as number 1, and Timber Tree is number 2, and then the other roads that,
Yes.
and new roads that y'all might.
Yes, and we can talk about prioritization. You don't need a prioritization today,
No,
right?
that's something that you do, like I said, I mean, you know, again, you're not obligated to whatever you do. I'm just saying that historically, all the counties I've dealt with, if you've got that priority listing, it kind of is like you're making somewhat the decision now that makes it easier. You've seen what you've got through.
I like having a priority list. I think
Yeah,
that's a
I mean, you don't even have to decide that today. You've told me, Dean Hollow, and so, I'm putting my jersey on.
We got a
Well, when Snowflake Road come in, you ain't mentioned it, voting on it. I'm going for it.
Well, that's where they put it on the priority list for them going. Yeah, you got one section of it, it's on there, it's still on there. This was just about adding a second section to it.
Oh,
Yeah. You see, this would be continuing on, is what we were talking about. Your section that voted on last year, like I said, it's on there. Okay? Okay. So I can go then, and go forward, tell them to put that on the plan, and then next month, unfortunately, you'll have to see me again, and I'll come back and bring the plan in. And I'm talking to Mr. Dingus, will be advertising it in the paper and everything has to be advertised 2 weeks in advance for the hearing, and then we'll do that, and then pass the plan.
Will you have the mowing scheduled for in June?
Probably not, no. So we are mowing on primaries already.
Okay, so
Okay.
you're a primary?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're mowing on primaries now. And so once we get that done and get through this, we try to get those done by Memorial Day and then start moving over. I think Pattinsville side, they already are starting to work on trying to get over there and get the secondary started. Not reached that point yet with Fort Blackmore.
Are you going to still be able to do, what, 3 times on primary?
Our plan is that we do 3 cycles for primary, 2 for secondary, with then additional mowings on locations that need it,
Okay.
spot locations. Which we realize, one of the difficulties is areas that have Johnson grass, is that we could mow those today and then a week and a half later, then they're back up again. And we just can't mow every week on, okay?
Are you using the same contractor from North Carolina?
Greenview, yeah, for on the primaries. Secondaries will be doing ourselves. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. And we'll check into these other things that you mentioned. Okay. Thank you.
All right, that completes unfinished business. We'll go into 9A, the audit report. And, yeah, we'll do that. And then after that, we'll take a break. Okay. I'm not trying to get it.
Thank you all for having me here. My name is Scott Wickham. I'm partner in charge of the Scott County audit this year. This is the first audit we just wrapped up here a month or so ago. Here to go over results of the June 30, 2024 audit. Passing out a high-level summary here to go over. Hopefully you've had a chance to review the full report. There's 155 pages or so it's rather lengthy. If you have questions later on, my contact is on the front of this. I'm happy to answer questions as well. One of some general parts of the audit. The first report that we issue is the independent auditor's report. That speaks to the numbers in the report. The county has again received an unmodified opinion, which means the numbers presented are truly accurate and good for use. That's the best opinion you can get on that report. There's two types of accounting in the financial statements. You have modified accrual accounting and full accrual accounting. Full accrual accounting looks at the big picture, includes all of the assets and all of the debt, big picture items. Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2 are the only schedules on that full accrual big picture of accounting. The other exhibits are on the modified accrual basis of accounting. So that's short term, it's cash basis, plus short term receivables, that's short term payables. So it does not include your long term debt and bonds and things like that as well. So one point those items out. Exhibit 1 is the full accrual long term picture. Exhibit 3 and back is the balance sheet modified accrual basis. We also issued two other reports. The first being the gas report. This speaks to government auditing standards and state compliance. We do have findings. I'll go over here in a second with those. And the third report we issue is the uniform guidance report. Used to be the A133 report, but that is the federal testing and opinion on that federal testing. So there's one item of note on that, otherwise it is a pretty good report. In the very back of the report, we do have the schedule of findings and questions cost that details those items. I mentioned in the gas report we had a couple findings. So we did report 5 total findings in the audit report. The first 3 being material weaknesses. The first item being the financial statements presented for audit did not contain all necessary adjustments. This is a fairly common finding. Essentially, when we were doing the audit testing, we found additional accruals, unrecorded receivables, or unrecorded payables, or debt items that were not recorded in the financial statements. You will have a consultant come in and help get that information together, but miscommunication or untimely documentation led to some of those adjustments. For a small locality, that's a pretty common finding, but we are required to report it if we propose material adjustments. The second finding, the county had hired a consultant to update the bank reconciliations in the treasurer's office through June 2024. That was one of the delays of the audit. We'd like to have this audit completed a little earlier. To getting those bank recs caught up was one of the delays. My understanding is they're still not caught up to current date, and we really would push that to be a major control you all have to make sure that bank reconciliations are done. And I would recommend some steps to get that corrected. The third material weakness is the school board was not submitting reimbursement requests timely for federal grant programs. Technically, they have 27 months to submit a reimbursement request in that grant period, but generally, to get it in the same accounting period, we'd like for it to be each month. So if you have payroll costs for May, you'd like to submit that cost in June because you already know what they are. At a minimum, that should be done quarterly, so that by September, you've submitted all the prior year costs. The school board was still submitting costs as of 2 months ago for things that went back to 2024. So we want to get that caught up and have that very timely to ensure that the consultant can pick all those accruals up and make sure that your books are accurate and don't require audit adjustments to get those corrected. The fourth finding is a technicality. The Head Start Department does have a budget that's approved as part of the grant project. I believe it was approved by the school board, but it was not part of the budget that you all appropriated here, and it should be part of the budget you all appropriate with the school budget. So I want to make sure that's done going forward. The fifth one, I mentioned we do federal testing. One of the programs we looked at was the school nutrition program, and we did see some keying errors in the reimbursement requests that led to inaccurate requests. So they count the meals at the schools, and then each month they submit a count, and they just keyed the wrong number, which that impacts the amount of money you all receive related to the meals served. So want to implement checks and balances to make sure that the numbers are keyed correctly. So just the 5 findings there. This was our first audit with you all. It is not unusual to have several findings as we go through a new audit. Hopefully we can implement some changes and have those reduced going forward. So I know I've spoken with various departments, and I think there is a plan of action to get that done. We also issue a management recommendation letter, which is a separate letter. And I apologize, I meant to include it in this handout. I emailed it to the management, so hopefully you'll have seen it. If not, I'm sure Mr. Dingus can pass that out. He has it in his email. A few items on there. This letter consists of items that are best practice type of items, as well as non-material non-compliance. So items that would not impact the FSA materially, but are still required by the state and general guidance. So a few items on there, such as the social services reconciliation. The dollar amount was $16,000 for the year, so not super significant, but that laser reconciliation does ensure that you all are requesting the correct amount for state and federal, so you want that to be exact to make sure that you're not under requesting or over requesting. So that's an idea of not a extreme dollar amount, but you do want to get that right. A few other items in there as well. The state did change the Security for Public Deposits Act. That act requires banks to hold more funds of your money and lend less amount. So it gets you further than FDIC insurance coverage. That was a new change this year. The act has been in place for a long time. The new change was requiring the staff here locally to go in quarterly and verify that the bank accounts are reporting the right amount. So the bank sends the amounts off, and now you are quarterly required to verify that that is accurate. So that was a new change during 2024. So a lot of places saw a recommendation to make sure they were doing that. So that was new. But again, a lot of items on there are best practice type of items. All right, moving forward in the handout, I did put some training information together. Obviously, this is based on the audit reports provided by the prior auditor, as well as our report for 2024. The first page we have here is the 5-year trend for government-wide. As I mentioned, this is full accrual big picture. So this take a step back, everything included, how are we doing? So you would see the 2024 to the right, and then net investment capital assets, restricted and unrestricted net position. Net position is essentially the net worth of the county. You can see that runs significantly over the last 5 years. Current ratio, pretty strong, about 5 there. So good growth in the full accrual basis of the county. Moving forward to the 5-year trend general fund. This is on a modified accrual basis of the county, so this is more your cash basis plus short-term receivables plus short-term payables. You can see that total revenues have grown about 10% per year over that 5-year trend. Heavily impacted by the intergovernmental revenues, your state and federal funds with all the ARPA funds, and that have weighed heavily on that increase, and we do expect that to decline going forward. So budgets have been increased with those funds and may require more local dollars to fund that. As you're talking about your budget, that is something I'm sure you're considering right now. The next page, again, on the general fund modified short-term basis of the county, you can see the growth by function there. Overall, total expenditure is about 13%. So that's heavily weighed on with the inflation in the last few years, as well as having those state and federal grant funds to spend. On the next page, we have a chart that shows general fund revenues for 2024 and for 2023. Kind of shows you where your funds are coming from by function. As expected, a large portion of those are property taxes. A similar chart on the next page for expenses. You can see the various categories and functions. As expected, again, a large portion of that goes to education and public safety. On the next, we have the review of county reserves, and kind of like to give you an idea of where your general fund balance stands. In purple, I've highlighted a few numbers there. That's the unassigned fund balance, or the items you've not put in a separate fund, reserved or not restricted by grant code. So unassigned fund balance is what you've had at the end of the year, cash plus short-term receivables, less short-term payables. So pretty liquid essentially. You see ending unassigned fund balance, the percentage of expenditures, about 12.3%. A general rule that GFOA has out there, it's the Government Finance Officer Association, is 2 months or 16.67%. So you are just below that percentage that they recommend.
What was that percentage again, please?
16.67. Essentially 2 months of expenses. And it's a very general minimum. So some places may have capital plans that are not fully defined and funded. So if those items are being contemplated that they're not actually set aside in different funds, if they're kind of in your unassigned fund balance, you want it to be stronger. You also want to think about it to be stronger if you're doing twice your collections, because you just received half of your taxes at the beginning of June, and then June 30th is when we're measuring this. So you kind of, if it's right after your paycheck, you want to make sure you have more than the minimum fund balance. So a few things to consider. This is also a nationwide minimum they recommend. Certain localities have the ability to tax more than others. All these things to think about, but it is giving you some sort of baseline, other than me just saying 2 months. So I want to point that out. You're below that number, but it has seen good growth over the 5 years. So review of county debt balances. Always want to caution, this debt balance is more than just what you're bonded to pay back. This includes all of your county-related debt, such as accrued leave, the net pension liability through VRS, and the OPEB liabilities as well. The APA, the Audit Public Accounts, provides a debt per capita based on the Cardinal report, the state report, and so it includes those as well. So I want to have all that in there so you have apples to apples. As you can see, you are well below the state average, which is great to see as a debt load. It should be, because that does include Northern Virginia areas that have higher dollars, but that is good to be well below that state average. In your financial statements, you have several estimates. One of the most significant estimate being the net pension liability. VRS hires an actuary to create this calculation. I always want to caution, this net pension liability is a calculation of, if everyone retired today, what would it cost me? And it's not anything that the schools have done wrong. It's not anything that the county has done wrong. You're paying what VRS is asking you to pay. This is a combination of the state reducing your rates you're required to pay to help your budgets. The actuary may say it's 12%, but they may say at the state level that we can't afford 12%, so we'll do 10%. And so that leads to some of that. You pay what you're required to pay and have been. It also is impacted by the stock market. If they don't do as well as they expect, that number goes up. So on this page, we have a sensitivity analysis. The amount recorded in your financial statements is 6.75%, that column there. So you can see the liability as estimated by actuaries for the county is $6 million. For the school board teacher portion is about $25 million. The school board non-professional actually is overfunded currently, but you can see how volatile that is with the stock market. If it does 1% better than they expect, it moves significantly, or if it does 1% worse, it moves significantly as well. So I want to point that estimate out and show you this. That is provided by an actuary hired by the state, so really of no doing of your own. It's just a calculation that you are required to report. Upcoming standards, Statement 101 for compensated absences does go into effect this year. Our firm will be sending out a memo to help the staff with changes on that. That impacts the accounting for sick leave particularly. We expect it to increase your liability for compensated absences or accrued leave in total, but it does not impact your day-to-day operations. It does not even impact your budget locally or your dollar considerations of those items. It just increases that liability that you already have, essentially. Prior standards, if you were paying someone when they left for their leave, you accrued that amount as leave. With this new standard, if you expect they will use that leave, you will also accrue that. So it will increase that amount based on what they have as of June 30th. Statement 102 for disclosures should not have a significant impact. The statement 103 will have some impact. It will increase information required in management discussion and analysis. It will also add a third column to your budget to actual, so that you will now have budget, an original budget, changes to the budget, and the final budget in those exhibits. So it will impact that as well as some other various items. Initially, when they started that project, the plan was to provide sweeping changes to eliminate the dual reporting of the full accrual and the modified accrual accounting to make it simpler for use. Then COVID hit, and then they couldn't figure out solutions, so they reduced that scope significantly, but there is still some impact for Scott County. Overall, as a wrap up, the audit went pretty well. There were some challenges, and we did have some findings and things that we recommend improvement on. But all the staff at all the areas, the county, social services, the school board, and Head Start, everybody did a great job at getting this information. So I was really happy with that. There were no holdups, and as far as that goes, everyone did a great job. So financially, I think you could be stronger, but you have had improvement in the last few years. And just work on cleaning up those findings. I think that we'll get there. So with that, are there any comments, questions?
Yeah, you were talking about review of county reserves, and we should strive for that 16.67%. As 2 months of just funding everything, right?
Correct.
So it's basically making sure that emergency fund stays up there.
Correct. That's 2 months of all your expenses, and including the contribution to the school board portion of it. But yeah.
Any other questions? I think that will do.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
No problem.
And we'll take a 15-minute break. Be back. All right, we'll start back into it. There's been a small change due to some scheduling conflicts. Mr. Ferguson and Roger Carter have switched places, allowing Mr. Carter to go first because he's got to get to work. If you want to come on up. Yeah.
Good morning. Thanks, Mr. Ferguson, for allowing me to hurry through this. This is for an exemption for Duffield Fire and Rescue for that involves the way the code is written right now is if you have a mass life support on the truck and you're doing the mass life support functions, then you're supposed to have an EMT provide, or at least an EMT be or hire with that other person, so either as a driver or a secondary attendant in the ambulance. So at times what happens is, especially if we have multiple patients from like a motor vehicle crash or something like that nature, and we have to split our crews up, then that could end up with a driver only being with the mass life support provider. So that's what the exemption is about, and that comes in under the governing body for which we work under, which is Scott County Board of Supervisors. But the administrative code 12 VAC 5-31-110 under exemptions requires you guys to give us approval for the state OEMS office to grant that exemption. So if we get called in, it happens 5% or less of the times. It's not like it's something that we don't want to strive to be that way. We want to strive to always have the providers in there, but it does happen. So this covers us in the event that it does happen. And I think Mr. Ron Picemore is on the phone there with listening in. If you have questions that he can answer those, I'm sure. So he is the director of the rules and regulations for the OEMS office out of Richmond.
It's my understanding that this exemption is for 2 years and doesn't have to be written into our emergency operations plan.
Does not change anything we're doing with our ERTs at all. All it is granting us, if it happens, that we can use advanced life support. If they're doing the skills of advanced life support, if it was just a general basic life support transport, then my understanding of the rule, it don't change anything then. It's just when we're performing the advanced life support skills in the truck.
Any of the board members have questions, as Mr. Carter said, Mr. Passmore, Director of EMS Regulations, is on the phone and can answer a question that you might have.
Does anyone have any questions?
If there are no questions, I'll make a motion that we pass the EMS exemption number. You'll have to say it again for Roger.
I don't know that it isn't, but the code for the exemptions is 12 VAC 5-31-110, section A and B, I think covers that. Is that right, Ron?
Mr. Passmore.
Yes, sir.
They're making a motion to approve this, and they're wanting to reference whatever code they need to. Could you? 12?
GAC 12. GAC for Virginia Administrative Code.
Yes. 12.
5, 12, GAC 5-31-1215.
Did you get that? Get that.
Thank you, sir.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed? Motion carries. Exemption granted.
Thank you, sir. We passed the motion.
You can
Just,
just let me in writing to the gentleman from Duffield, and he can email that to me, and I can upload it to the request.
Will do. Thank you, sir.
Just statement the board passed. Thank you, sir.
just real quick numbers, so you sort of know what's going on, and I'll get out of the way. So in April, for fire responses, total was 102. That's all fire departments in Scott County, 102 fire responses. On EMS, 319 month of April. For the year, all fire departments, 364 fire responses and 1,370 EMS responses. We're busy.
We appreciate you on that.
Thank you,
That's
Roger.
good.
Appreciate you all.
Appreciate you all.
All right, with that, Mr. Ferguson.
Morning.
Morning.
Each year I come and ask, as I will for this year, the line of credit for the school operating budget, it will be for the 2025 school year with the effective date July 1 and the end date of July 30th. I would ask your also consideration for this request in the amount of $4 million. We've done this for, I don't know how long we've done it, for a long time.
We've done this for a while.
And ask that the treasurer's office go out and put out for bid, whoever may accept that.
Do we have a motion to authorize the treasurer to seek proposals for the $4 million line of credit for the school system for the upcoming fiscal year?
So moved.
Do I have a
I'll second it.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Everybody vote by way of saying aye. Aye. Opposed? None opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Y'all have a good day.
Mr. Ferguson, before you leave, are we going to have someone at our budget session from the school system
I'd like to, yes.
today.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Okay. That'll be after lunch. Okay.
I'll try to send you a text when we get started.
Thank you, sir. All right. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out where we're at now that we've rearranged this Thomas Village Community Center.
Thank you so much for allowing us to be with you again today. I'm Jim Gates. I'm a trustee at Three Bells Methodist Church in Duffield, and I'm here to request the county to renew our long-standing lease agreement for the Thomas Village Community Center, which I believe this will be the 20th year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm within one or two, I know, because I've been around that long. But we would, first of all, I want to thank y'all for the many, many years that we've been able to provide a place for people to have events, and the building has been preserved as a result of being occupied. When we first started, it had been vacant for a number of years and it deteriorated substantially. But through joint efforts of y'all and us, we've been able to put it in pretty doggone good shape. And I was explaining to Mr. Skeen a minute ago that it wouldn't take a whole lot, really, to put that thing back into brand new like condition, because it's really been maintained well. But we're happy with it. We want to thank you for that. And we're asking that you renew us. We have a lot of activities that go on there. The biggest thing that goes on, we have church services there regularly. We have the Duffield Jam that goes on, and the first, third, and fifth Thursdays, there's a little jam we have there at 6 o'clock from 6 to 8. Of course, we never quit at 8, but we have refreshments and have an open mic situation for people to come and play music. And prior to COVID, we used to have 40 to 50 people. Since COVID, less than half that. Last year was particularly lean for whatever reasons, I don't know. But so far this year, we got started a little late too. We usually get started 1st of March, but it's the middle of March before we got started. But our 3 that we've had so far this year, we've had around 30 folks. And so maybe we're creeping back up, and we would certainly urge the county to come and be with us sometime. And particularly on this month, we have a 5th Thursday. The 5th Thursday is always an all-gospel event, and that's usually our largest attended venue. But Mr. David Hartley's been there with us several times and filmed for us, and we try. It's a good thing for the county. We want to thank you for it, and we would ask that you would be gracious enough to extend that agreement another year for us. And I'm just speaking on behalf of Pastor Sean Bailey. He's usually here, but he actually has another county obligation today, and he was unable to be here, and he was brave enough to let me come fly solo on this. So if there are any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
I'll make the motion and I'll offer up $1 for the grant.
Well, thank you. We certainly do appreciate it.
Do we have a second?
I'll second. Go ahead.
All right. All in favor, vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll see if we can get our county tourism director down there sometime too to stop in and kind of highlight some of that, because I think that would be a great idea.
Love to have you. We love to have you. And I've got the paperwork here. I'll have Sean bring it back and drop it back by.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all so
Appreciate
much.
y'all.
See you.
All right. Now, back on schedule. Chamber of Commerce Business Appreciation Month.
Good morning. Good afternoon at this point. I think I've met most of you over the last few months, but if not, I am Tiffany Baker. I'm the president of the Scott County Chamber this year. Each year, the Commonwealth of Virginia recognizes the month of May as Business and Industry Appreciation Month. This is an opportunity for us to recognize and celebrate businesses for their contributions to the economy and the communities that they serve. Small businesses, as you know, are the heart of our community and provide many job opportunities for the citizens of Scott County. As you know, part of the Chamber's mission is to encourage the growth of these businesses and industries who have chosen to call our county home. This morning, I'm here on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce to ask the Board of Supervisors to pass a resolution in honor and support of the businesses that continue to grow within our county. I believe Penny sent a copy of the proposed resolution to you all ahead of time, and it is in the packet that you have, if you would like to review that.
I'll give y'all a second to review that and look at it, or if you need to look at it. Does anybody have a motion to approve this resolution? Supporting small business? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Guys. Also, I think you pointed. Were you?
Oh, you're-
Oh, okay. I do want to take this time to invite you all to our luncheon that we offer, or we host every month, every May. It's going to be hosted on the 20th, May 20th at 12 noon at the First Baptist Church in Gate City. All of you all are invited to that. We're going to have King Street cater. It's always a good time. And then each month we do have a monthly meeting that you all are invited to. All right. Thank you all for your time and your support of the chamber.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Moving on, mutual aid agreement for the city of Bristol and Scott County. Mr. Diggins, Ms. Kegley, you want to give us some background on this?
The sheriff's department had requested this at the request of the city of Bristol. I think Bristol had reached out to them, and you all have a copy of it, I think, in your packets. It's just a standard mutual aid between the city of Bristol and Scott County Sheriff's Department, Sheriff's Office. Need your approval along with Bristol.
This is just a continuation of what we had before, is that true?
I don't know that we've had one before with Bristol, but it's,
Bristol, others.
but it's similar to what we have in Belgium.
Okay.
All right, do I have a motion to approve this mutual aid agreement? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, the housing resolution. This is something that I asked to be added in here. Scott County EDA passed a resolution supporting housing in Scott County and supporting us building out more. As you all know, this has been one of my pet, I would hate to call it pet peeve, but I guess pet project. Something that I would like to see come to the county is just more housing, giving our young folks a better place to start out at, and helping everyone get a little bit of a leg up with home ownership, or at least an affordable place to live, right? So this is calling for that, and this is just kind of the start of what we can do. And as the years go on, hopefully we can add more to this, and people will see that our commitment to growing our housing supply is a real commitment and not just something we like to talk about in meetings. So I wanted to memorialize this and pass this along with the EDA. The EDA's already passed it. So, do I have a motion to approve this housing resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. I really appreciate that. That'll help us kind of get the ball rolling on some other things. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right, bookkeeping items.
Please appropriate $529 to Park Golf Course merchandise for resale. Appropriate $2,547 to sheriff's repair and maintenance of vehicles. Appropriate $40,259.28 to emergency services disaster expenses. Appropriate $37,000 to APCA expansion planning grant consulting services, and $10,000 to administrative expense services. Appropriate $1,985.05 to clerk of circuit courts, conferences and training. Appropriate $325 to electoral board, election official services, and $894.21 to printing of election ballots. Appropriate $1,295 to sheriff's department payroll other, and $99.08 to FICA. Appropriate $240.31 to sheriff's department conferences and training. Appropriate $3,172 to sheriff's department mental health transports salaries. And appropriate $1,400 to circuit court clerk's IT technology fund office equipment additions. And that's all of the appropriations.
Do I have a motion to approve these appropriations as have been listed out?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And also, please accept Office of Emergency Medical Services Rescue Squad Assistance Fund Grant Number LE-S0303-25 with a total award amount of $21,625.
Do I have a motion to approve the acceptance of these funds as have been listed?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Or opposed? Sorry. I get it right one of these days. Moving on to appointments.
The first appointment is for the Community Policy Management Team. You still did not receive any applicants for this.
I'd encourage everybody to look under every rock and behind every bush, because we've been looking for this one for a long time. It'd make a real difference for the CPMT community. So what we thought we had one on the hook, but the schedule I think was just too much, where it's in the middle of the day on a weekday. So just keep that in mind, and if you can find somebody, let's get them in there. All right.
Okay, the second one is for the Housing Authority. Beverly Cross has been serving, and she did reapply, and you have one other applicant, and it's in your folder.
Okay.
Joseph Tucker Barker.
I'll nominate Beverly Cross.
I'll second.
Everybody in favor of Beverly Cross, vote by way of saying aye.
Wait, we gotta.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Ask for any other nominations.
Are there any other nominations?
And I'll make a motion that nominations cease, and we vote by acclamation.
Need a second.
Second. I have a second.
Second.
All right.
No, you vote.
Now. Now, everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Sally. I appreciate you keeping me in line. Somebody has to. It's our job. All right. Building Code Appeals Board.
Robbie Sally has been serving, and he did not reapply. You do not have any other applicants.
Okay.
That's a tough one. That's one that we're required by code to have in place, but we have never, since the inception of the code back in the 70s, used it.
Right.
We work things out. It's not really fitting to Scott County. We try to work things out before we go to the board like this.
Right.
But we got to have them in place. So we have people that serve from time to time, but it's hard to keep them interested in. They're not doing anything.
Does that have to be a citizen
Yeah, there's some detail. They have to be have a background in engineering or buildings and grounds. So many of them have to be made up of those professionals and different people. So it's a tough one to fill and a tough one to keep people on. But we'll work on getting.
We'll see if we can get that. We need to get more people involved. Anywhere we can. Moving on, County Attorney's Report.
I don't have anything today. I will answer your
everything you do for this board, Sally. It is not unnoticed by this supervisor for sure.
I don't think you'd go unnoticed, mate. We appreciate you. We really do. I think I speak for the whole board in the same.
She has answered a lot of my questions this past minute. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, acting county administrator's report, Mr. Bill Dingus.
If you'll get your green sheets out of your folder. And I'm going to assume all of them are stapled in the same order. On your top sheet, you can see the available cash in the general fund is $19,029,453.41. Also listed there is the other funds within the county and for your review. The last page, the last page is the comparison to previous years, the month of May. You'll notice a significant difference between 24 and 25. But that's because the school had pulled down their funding. They haven't pulled down this year. That's the big difference there that you'll see.
And them not pulling down is actually helping us as far as interest income.
Sure.
Because Kevin is able to invest that money.
Right.
How much do they have?
It's right at 10 million.
Yeah.
No. Now, out of that, out of that 10 million, there's about 2 million, that's the Pearson kids that we were reimbursed for. So I'll talk about that. I've got that information for the budget meeting, but it's not as bad as it seems. I mean, there's a couple of $1 million there that the county's getting reimbursed for.
Right. For
It's
the virtual
moving.
academy.
Right, yes. The sheet before that is your 5,000 and above list. If anybody has any questions about any of those expenditures. The big one is the Southwest Regional Jail Authority. And as far as the claims, your early set of claims for this month was $464,802.80. The claims today are $895,293.13. The total claims for the month is $1,360,095.93. If there's no questions, I would ask for the board to pay the bills.
I'll make a motion that we pay the bills. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed.
Next thing I have is the United Way Southwest Virginia Disaster Relief Funding. The county has received $38,241.36 from the United Way Southwest Virginia to assist individuals affected by Hurricane Helen. I've been working with Lana Mullins with DSS to establish a committee for distributing these funds for those that have that specific need. It's a pretty specific need. It had to happen during the hurricane. Ms. Mullins, very gracious about it. They're the experts in that kind of stuff as far as people in need. Stated that DSS staff can receive, process, and vet applications. So what we'll do is work out a committee, maybe of 3 people, including Ms. Mullins, someone from the county, one of you guys, if you wanted to be on it, maybe somebody from the Appalachian ARPA. Yeah, not ARPA. APCA, yeah. They've changed their name from RAD. So, but anyway, we're working on developing that committee, and the applications would come in through DSS, and those employees could process the applications and then submit to the Board of Supervisors for a funding.
What was that amount again?
$38,241.36. And it's in, I've got it in the memo I gave to you
Yeah, I
too.
saw that.
The funds are allocated for a 24-month period, which means it must be dispersed by December 11th, 2026. Additionally, 5% of the total may be allocated for administrative costs, if we want to do that or not. At this time, I'm requesting the establishment of Fund 1606, which will be titled United Way Relief Fund, and the transfer of the $38,241.36 from the general fund into Fund 1606.
Do I have a motion to create this fund that was listed and move the requisite amount over to that fund?
I'll make. So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Everybody vote by way of saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
The other thing I have is the 10th Annual Southwest Virginia Economic Forum, which is going to be Thursday, May the 22nd, 2025, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Convocation Center at UVA Watts. I gave you a little sheet that has the agenda and the times. I didn't put the location, but it's at UVA Watts at the Convocation Center. Last year, I think Mr. Bricky and I attended. There's no limitation on how many of them could attend, as you said. So if I'll plan on attending. It does ask, if you look it up online, it asks for a registration. So if you guys want to do that yourself, or let me know and let me register for you, either way. If anybody wants to carpool, just let me know, and you can ride with me or leave me over there, whatever you want to do. But anyway, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. All right, and we have struck 14, County Department Report, EDA, and moved that to the June meeting, which leaves us with Board of Supervisors comments, requests, and recommendations. Does anybody have any comments, requests, recommendations, anything like that?
I do have my usual update. On the VDOT, Mr. Sumter mentioned earlier that they're starting to get back to normal after their winter storms. I did have 7 calls this month requesting follow-up on work orders. And I'd like to remind all residents in the county, if you're getting a slow response on your work orders and it's been 2 weeks, no one's called you, just give me a call and I'd be glad to help you. Virginia Housing Mobile Loan Office that usually sits up in Food City, he won't be there for the next 2 months due to training some employees in Eastern Virginia. That's Virginia Housing. Africa, which you just mentioned, I mentioned this last time, they're remodeling some houses with Habitat for Humanity. They're now for sale in Dungannon at Blueberry Hills. Low cost, affordable housing. We're talking about a housing that's an opportunity there for that.
I was proud to see that. That's really
Yeah,
nice.
that's good.
Tourism, Brittany Robertson, our tourism director, did schedule a organizational meeting for the nightly lodging operators. We now have 20 operators in the county and I think 29 locations. That's nightly rentals. So if anybody's needing a place to stay in Scott County, we have it. And she's planning on doing some more media coverage on this topic, so you'll be seeing more about it. We do have a new business opening in Nicholsville, projected mid-June. It's a Heritage Table, a restaurant and bakery. So they spent about a year remodeling the property, and it's really nice. So we'll hear more about that in mid-June.
Yeah, I saw some of that on social media. That looks really good.
That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right.
One other thing I forgot to mention, probably the most important, the man's here today. I mentioned Lisa and Mike last time as contributing to the transparency for the county. But David Hartley with Heritage TV, we don't get to see in front of the TV often. But I think he's been with us 20 years, and I don't think he's missed a meeting in that time period. And he also does the school board. So thank you.
You could walk around.
Yeah, you could get
Give us a look.
time to think about. But thanks, David, for your contribution. That's all I had.
All right. With all that being done, we have one item to go into closed session. Let me grab my little blurb we have to read back that. This would be for section 1A, A1 personnel being county administrator. Do I have a motion to enter into closed session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right. On a motion by Darrell Jeter, duly seconded by Michelle Glover, this board hereby enters into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711 for A1 personnel county administrator. All in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and you can have